Wicked.
Oh,
How you
nice.
doing, mate?
How are you, sir? You're right.
All the better for being able to hear you properly now and for not sounding like a Dalek myself. Makes the job a bit easier not sounding like a Dalek.
I think even you as a Dalek is still like the best guest ever. So I think that's fine. Oh, amazing. Well, thanks for joining us. I'll just let you, if that's
So,
all right. First of all, if you won't mind just kind of saying your name, just introducing yourself, just so our listeners know that it's you that we've got on the show, if that's all right. And then I'll
sure.
fire some questions away. So yeah, whenever you're ready, just dive in.
Cool. Hello, my name is Stephen Manderson, better known to some as Professor Green, though my nan doesn't call me Stephen or Professor Green. She calls me things I can't say on the radio. Hello.
Oh, thank you very much, Professor Green. Very warm welcome to the show. I think I know this isn't your kind of first kind of team up talking about energy with British Gas. That's fantastic. But I was just thinking it's a bit of a fitting thing, isn't it, for Professor Green to be talking about energy? It's great.
Well, not least of all because of my own experiences and what I saw growing up as a kid. You know, there was 6 of us in a 3-bedroom flat. There was, the phrase energy debt wasn't around then, and neither was the British Gas Energy Trust. So it's brilliant that British Gas are helping point people in the direction of the British Gas Energy Trust, especially with 4 in 10 households about to be struggling with their next energy bill, and a third of people who are suffering in silence. So it's important that we try and help stop the silence.
Yeah, thank you very much. I mean, I know you've been an absolutely fantastic advocate of mental health through the years. So I guess this is just one of those things that right now it's bound to be impacting people's mental health, isn't it? I mean, I know I've actually got some of the stats in front of me here, and it's a bit depressing, isn't it, that so many people are now going to be really worried about this.
Yeah, completely. And I think what we're seeing, well, I know what we're seeing is a lot of people are finding themselves in a situation where they're suffering with energy debt, worried about energy debt or debt as a whole for the first time because of the situation that we find ourselves in as a country. Rising living costs, rising prices of fuel, etc., etc., etc. And those costs are always handed down to the customer. And as always, it's those who need the most, who have the least, that are impacted the worst.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great that we're kind of you're here to talk about this. As you said at the start, breaking the silence on this, and hopefully, if anybody is out there in this position, and unfortunately, there's bound to be a few of us in that position. I wonder if you could kind of give some immediate, obvious advice to those people.
Yeah, well, the most immediate and most obvious advice would be if you have an internet browser to search for British Gas Energy Trust, and you will find all the information you need, and hopefully be pointed in the direction of the support that you need, be it practical or financial or both. But for me, it's really important that people get beyond their pride and stigma. If you're in need, and the stigma surrounding debt, if you're in need of help, there is support out there. And please make use of it, because no one should be suffering in silence.
Yeah, I think that's I think you kind of already kind of very briefly kind of alluded to it there, but it sounds like the kind of trust is kind of aiming to do quite a few things, in terms of kind of not just offering support on the kind of a financial side, but also the kind of education and I guess kind of helping people kind of be more aware of kind of I guess like good practice and helping overall in debt, because I guess that's something that's always going to help people, isn't it? Being better at it, I guess.
Yeah, listen, I didn't have much of an education as far as what to do with money, because we didn't have any growing up. So don't be embarrassed. Like, my money management was terrible for a large period of my life, and it was a mess. And I think, hygiene is something that transcends beyond just washing your hands because of COVID, like financial hygiene is important. Like I used to always be in my overdraft in this account and, in arrears on this, just because I was bad at opening letters. And then by the time you've got 8 of them, you just want to bury your head in the sand. And burying your head in the sand is not going to help you achieve anything. It's really blooming important that you get your head out of the sand. It's really important that you get your head out of the sand and into sorting things out, especially when you have help on hand.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is I don't know about what you think about this, but it sounds to me like even perhaps to those people who maybe are a bit like that, and they're kind of thinking, oh no, it's just too much to kind of think about. I guess just stopping and kind of even starting to take charge of that and feel like you're more in control, that's bound to immediately make you feel a bit better, I would have thought.
Yeah, and I'm a firm believer of, good decisions beget good decisions, in as much in the same way that bad decisions beget bad decisions. And that, again, that spreads across everything. And I talk about that from experience. I know throughout my own life that, if I'm feeling low or down, it's quite easy to make decisions that make me feel better temporarily, but not in the long run. So think long game.
Yeah, perhaps just as you say, perhaps a bit of work for people to kind of make that initial step towards perhaps making some positive steps towards their money management.
Yeah.
And I guess
look, I'm not long ago I became a father, and I can only imagine what this you forgive your parents, your guardian, whoever you've been brought up by over and over and over again, and you empathise in a way that you couldn't before having a kid, because you can't quite. Everyone always says you don't know what it's like until you have your own, and it's cliche, but it's true. It's cliche because it's true. And you forgive them over and over and over again for everything, because you understand. And I can't imagine. I don't know if you've seen the movie yet for the campaign, but. Sorry, I don't know if you've seen the campaign film yet, but it was quite close to me in that seeing a father struggle with, paying for energy to heat his house and turning everything off as soon as his children have left. You hear the mum shout out, "See you again. They'll see you again next weekend," and you just wonder about what his time's like between him seeing the children. It alludes to it being incredibly difficult. And I think a lot of people are in that situation. And as a man, I know what it's like. It's difficult to ask for help. You feel like that's a weakness, but actually finding the strength to do that makes you stronger than most. It's not a weakness. You have to accept your vulnerabilities and any problems you might be going through. And, weak is to hide, is to not deal with things. So any step you can take towards making things better, please do.
Oh, Professor Green, I think that's an absolutely brilliant message for people today. So thank you very much for that. And I was thinking about the kind of, I guess, just something to kind of go alongside. But I'm not sure if this is kind of one of your kind of key focuses today. It might not be, and that's fine. But in terms of kind of any other, I guess, advice that the kind of trust is aiming to get across to people, and I didn't know whether things like, I guess you mentioned the kind of practical side to things. Does it kind of come into, kind of energy saving tactics and things like that people can be doing to kind of save money there, and obviously as well help the environment too, but save their money when their bills. I don't know if that kind of tips like that into it at all, or whether they can kind of look elsewhere for those. I'm not sure.
I'm sure there's other places, but I think a great place to start would be the British Gas Energy Trust, because that's exactly the sort of thing that they're encouraging people to learn and to understand, and how they can how they can use energy more efficiently and therefore more cost effectively to help reduce their costs.
Yeah, well, thank you, Professor Green. I think basically, I mean, your key point is really, really shining through today, and I think that's absolutely fantastic. Which is all about, of course,
thank you.
If anyone is out there, suffering in silence, then they should. They should speak out. They should talk. They should, get on track to actually making some positive steps towards that management. And I think that's, really important message for people today. So I do thank you for that. And I'm just wondering if there's kind of anything else that you'd like to kind of get across to people. And also, I guess we've spoken about the trust a little bit already, but I guess the key place to go, I guess, is the website for that, right? For people to check out.
Is if you just search British Gas Energy Trust, you'll find everything you need. The purpose of the trust is to combat the detrimental impact of energy stress and the impact that has on households and by proxy people. And the knock-on effect from that is this doesn't just affect the people it affects immediately. It's the people beyond them, their children, their relatives, their relationships. Everything suffers if people suffer.
Oh, Professor Green, well, thank you very much for your time today. Just as a very final thing, I just want to thank you very much for coming on the show. And finally, this is a bit daft, and we do not have to do this at all, but I was just wondering if, obviously, you're a bit of a man of music, so if you wanted to get a song request on, I would happily get it on for you. I don't know if that's...
Only if you're actually going to play it.
Of course, yeah. What are you thinking?
The song that got me into rap music, and my favourite rap song ever, still till this day, I heard it for the first time at Roller City or Roller Express. It was the same venue, but it was reopened, and so... different points in time it's been called both of those names. It was a roller skating rink that I used to go to when I was younger, and I heard the notorious B.I.G. One More Chance remix featuring Faith Evans.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that's my favourite rap song ever, so I hope you listeners enjoy that.
Oh, thank you very much, Professor Green. I'll get that straight on. Thank you very much for your advice today. I think it's fantastic, and I'll let you go, but thanks again for coming on with us.
Ben, thank you very much, mate. Really appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. Goodbye now.
Bye, mate.
Bye.
Bye.